Oh my God,
everybody,
Rich.
to Rotary District 5870 series.
Kansas State.
Staying connected. We really appreciate everyone being with us today. I want to give a special thanks to all of our District 5870 Rotarians who have taken the time to be with us today, as well as all of our Rotary family from around the world. I'm seeing some great faces, some old friends and some new friends. Thanks for being with us today. And any guests of Rotarians, thank you for being with us. It really means a lot that you joined us today for this important program, and you took some time out of your Friday afternoon, and we look forward to saying hi. Before we get started, Amber's going to go through some housekeeping. Amber?
I am. I'm going to get started with how to change our name because we kind of skipped through that today, but I'm getting a couple questions about it on here. So if you will hover over your own picture, 3 little dots are going to show up in the right-hand corner. You can click on those dots and a menu will pop down and you can rename yourself there. If you're operating off of an iPhone or a tablet or a mobile, what you're going to do is go to the participant list, click the participant list, find your name, and again, hover over your name and it will allow you to change your name there as well. So what we want to do is see your name and where you're from. So either your club or your club in your district, or my Interact guys, you can put Interact on there so people will know that's you. But we want to see who you are. In addition, up in your right-hand corner is where you're going to be able to change from speaker view to gallery view. So if all you're seeing right now is my face, you're on speaker view. If you want to switch that over to gallery view, you're going to get a gallery and see everybody's face at one time. In the bottom left-hand corner is where you can mute and unmute yourself. And I've gone through, and that's what we were doing there when we were having a hiccup getting Patrick started. Sorry, Patrick. I was muting everybody individually. Right. So just to get rid of some of the background noise. If you need to unmute, though, you can do that down there. And if I get background from you, I will remute you. Also, you can stop your video right there next to it as well. We like seeing your faces, though. So if you can keep your video up, that would be great. In the middle of the screen, there is also a chat box, and we know that a lot of people know where that is because there's lots of chats going on already. But everybody open up that chat box so you can keep up with all the good questions that are coming in here and chats. You can send a chat privately, one-on-one, or to the whole group. And if you have a question, I want you to clearly mark question in there, and Patrick and me and Jim, we're going to be going through and moderating those questions throughout this event today. And I'm so excited about today. That's all I have, and let's get to it.
I also want to bring up, thank you, Amber. I also want to bring up, especially in my situation, for some reason, the internet in my area has decided to be weird today. I've already been told by Barbara that my head was floating earlier in a weird way. So if something happens to our internet today and with our speaker, with any of the questions, just stay with us. We will get it fixed. There's, everybody in the world's on internet now, so at the same time, so just bear with us as always, and we will get that fixed. Before we get started, I just want everybody to real quickly say happy birthday to Gaines. It's Gaines' birthday today. I just saw that, so I wanted to say happy birthday to Gaines.
Happy birthday, Gaines.
Happy birthday, Gaines.
Awesome. He's a great guy. Happy birthday. Well, today's an important program. Yes, it's okay, cool. You want to say something real quick, Gaines?
No, I just said thank you.
Okay, cool. Happy birthday. Yeah. So today is an important program. We had another program planned. We had the PR Rockstar Challenge. And then on Monday, our speaker, who is a fellow District 5870 Rotarian and a member of the Temple South Club, Myke Rousell, spoke on Monday. And we had such a response that they were like, you've got to hear Myke. So thank you, Myke, for taking the time today. It is an honor to have you. And it's an honor to hear your story. And we look forward to that shortly. So thank you for being here today. But after Myke speaks, we're going to have a Q&A as always. So if you can make sure, again, mark clearly your questions on the chat because the chat can get filled really quick. So mark clearly question. We'll hopefully get to all the questions. If we don't, we'll make sure to answer that question offline. And then after that, we'll have some announcements about next week and some other stuff. So please stay with us to the very end. Again, thank you everybody for joining us. And now I will turn it over to our District Governor, Jim Henry. Jim?
Thanks, Patrick. Thanks so much. And I too want to welcome everybody. I start every meeting by welcoming all of our very special guests, which are all the Rotarians in District 5870. This Zoom series, Staying Connected, we decided to do this for y'all, for everybody in our district during these times when it gives us the ability to get everybody together, which we've never really had a chance to do before, that all of us get together, we get to see our faces from all over our district, and it's a way for us to try to stay connected. I know most of our clubs have their weekly club meetings on some sort of an online platform, but this is just a really good way for us to get together and stay connected with y'all, let you know what's going on in our district, let you know what's going on in the Rotary world. Also, I welcome all of our guests from all over, from districts throughout Texas, throughout the United States, throughout the world, all the past district governors that are here, all our zone representatives, all our representatives from Rotary International, from the mothership up in Evanston. It's so great to see everybody join us each week. A couple of special shout outs go to our Rotary International Director for our paired zones, Larry Demmett, joining us from Kansas. Hello, Larry. And also another Rotary International Director joining us all the way from California, Jarita Solari, our resident honorary Texan. So thank y'all again. Thank everybody for joining us. And as Patrick mentioned, this is going to be a very exciting program today. He told you a little bit about our speaker. Myke Rousell is one of our younger members. He's been in Rotary for about 2 years, right, Mike?
Yep, about 2.5 years.
About 2.5 years. As Patrick said, he's a excuse me, he's a member of the Rotary Club of Temple South. He's a CPA. Mike's originally from New Orleans, but he migrated up to Texas and is a proud graduate of Coppers Cove High School. Then he migrated up to Kansas, where he is a proud graduate of Tabor College in Kansas. Mike's an athlete. He played basketball, and he was an All-American in track in the triple jump, I think. So he's quite an athlete. But you know, his time in Coppers Cove drove him back. Drew him back to Texas, and Mike got his CPA. He's a CPA, and he now works for an accounting firm in Temple, who are also Rotarians. That's probably where he got exposed to it. Mike is a very active Rotarian. He's a very active leader in his community. He's the sergeant at arms of the Temple South Rotary Club, and he's got he lives on a little 12-acre farm, and so that's why he was telling a lot of us earlier how he has all these animals. With his fiance and his three children. And so, you know, Mike is going to talk to us today about a very timely and important.
I can't forget any one of my kids. It's 4 kids.
4 kids.
I think Albert would be upset if I forgot her. So 4.
Okay, he's got 4. Well, see, it's amazing what happens during the week. So now, his 4 children. Mike has got a wonderful story to tell. I was told about his talk at his club last Monday, and I listened to it, and I said, we've got to hear him. Mike's going to talk about his perspective on some of the issues that have been happening in our community and our nation throughout the last couple of weeks, and what his perspective on how Rotary can help with those issues. So without any further ado, Mike, District 5870 is waiting to hear from you.
I appreciate that. I want to first start off by saying that I am extremely grateful for Rich K making the connection, and then also you, District Governor Jim, and Amber and Patrick for giving me this platform to share my perspective and my experiences. I also want to thank all the guests. Seeing my name on the deal and you guys are showing up to listen to me, that means a lot to me, a great deal to me. Most people know me as this happy-go-lucky, positive guy who would rather get a laugh than discuss anything serious. So today, my time with you is something out of my comfort zone. Don't get me wrong, I love the spotlight and I love the attention. But to be tuned in, listening to me discuss such a serious topic, it makes me feel extremely emotionally naked and vulnerable. So with that, I'm going to try to make it through this without crying, but I will say that I am overcome with emotions. It's the most vulnerable. This week has been the most vulnerable that I've ever been, and I feel like even those that hear me speak Monday, I'm probably going to be even more vulnerable today. and transparent with you all. So to tell a little bit more about my story. So, but I feel like progress is uncomfortable. So let's get uncomfortable. I'm an educated Black professional with a great career at a great firm. I've worked extremely hard to earn the respect of my coworkers and people that have worked with me, and also my community. By anyone's standard, I am successful. So how do the senseless killings of George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, and Temple's very own Michael Dean, and even the Central Park incident with the lady and her dog, how do these things affect me personally? Well, honestly, they upset me. They sadden me, not only as an empathetic human, but because it's a needless and painless reminder of the indignities that I face daily. When I'm with people who know me, I'm a respected dad, colleague, board member, friend, volunteer, etc. But once outside of those isolated bubbles, I'm just an anonymous Black man subject to diminished respect and trust, and it's exhausting. And if you think it's exhausting for me as the successful Black man, how do you think it is for the Black communities generally? There's this misconception that racism is this redneck in a jacked up truck, waving a Confederate flag, but it's much deeper than that. Racism is being laughed at by a group of white people and ask sarcastically if you're the janitor when you tell them that you work at a public accounting firm. Racism is being told by white people that the officers just doing their job. If you just do what they say, you'll be fine. What I can tell you, I've been pulled over 20 some odd times, always doing what I'm told. But am I fine? Being frisked and having your vehicle searched right in front of your house and begging the four police officers for a 17-year-old, begging them to go inside just to get a guardian, coming inside feeling dehumanized, scared for your life, alone. Would you be fine? I mean, physically, yes, I'm okay, but am I fine? Racism is when you finally listen to what you've been taught and say no to a vehicle search, and you're forced to spend an hour alongside the road, humiliated, while people drive by and your vehicle's getting searched by a dog, knowing even if you're innocent, you're presumed guilty by those looking on. Racism is my mom telling me she named me Michael because she didn't think Jamal on the resume would land me a good job. Her telling me she wanted to spell it with a Y, but no, that's probably bad too. So she compromised with the world. And that's why she nicknamed me Myke with a Y. I continue to be reminded that racism is alive and well, with no Black child exempt from the hate and the discrimination. Age, home life, parent involvement, light skin or dark skin, none of that matters. The world around us has taught me that racism is not always loud and it's not always clear, but it's always dangerous and it's always damaging. Racism is not being able to meet one of your son's first grade teachers at Meet the Teacher night because the teacher was so visibly disgusted by my presence, she couldn't even be bothered to make eye contact with me. I waited and waited, and only to realize no matter where I stood or what I said, my son's new teacher was not interested in meeting me. Racism is having to write a letter to the counselor, vice principal, superintendent of Belton ISD to get my 6-year-old son's classroom change in the middle of the school year because he was getting treated so poorly solely based on the color of his skin. Now, a lot of people, the first initial reaction is, how do you know that? Which is one of the reasons why racism still thrives. I asked my son to be moved because the pure effect you having on my child, I asked him to be moved due to the hateful things said to him by someone that I entrusted his care to. My son could not only understand why his teacher ignored his raised hand continuously, or why at the end of the day, each day he had to figure out why she said he's a bad kid or telling some of the stories she told me. he would come home each day trying to figure out a way to make this teacher like him. One time he came to me and said, you know what? She really likes tea in the morning. What if we buy her a teacup? My son loves to learn. He loves going to school and he loves pleasing people. So I would not stand by and watch someone try to steal the shine from his smile and make him feel as if he wasn't worthy. The reason I say racism thrives is because of the shame a Black parent is made to feel when questioning why their child is being treated differently. Involved, dedicated parents should not fear retaliation when questioning the care and education of their children. Racism thrives because I didn't want to mention this being about race. Honestly, I didn't want to believe it. But it also thrives because it's not always made clear why someone is spewed with so much hate. I want to end this quick story by letting you all know that when I was in the meeting to get my son's classroom changed, the principal, she just flat out asked me, did you feel this was racially charged? I painfully admitted, I think so, due to my observations in class and the stories my son brings home involving white students and other detailed examples. She looked at me and the counselor and she solemnly said, yeah, this isn't the first time. So that is how I know. There's a very prevalent issue here, and I want to acknowledge it. White privilege. I know it's frowned upon for anyone, especially me as a Black man, to speak on this or even mention its existence. White privilege, much like racism, isn't always tangible. And just like racism, the burden of proof has been put on Black people, and it's exhausting and frustrating. I don't know if this is a scientific term or not. I kind of made it up with my fiance, but if you happen to see it in Urban Dictionary or Wikipedia, just know I coined it, and you can call me Dr. Rousell. White avoidance. White avoidance is being asked, what did you do to make them want to search your car? So I kept my gym bag in the trunk just to ease everyone's fear of me. White avoidance is being told it's because of the way I dressed, or it's because I had dreads. So guess what? I saved up what I could. I bought a new wardrobe. I cut my hair. White avoidance is being told it's because I live off of welfare or live in a certain part of town. So guess what? I went off to college and I got a respected job. White avoidance is not acknowledging the fact that I had to work 4 times harder than my white peers just to be at par level. And after doing all that I thought I could do to conform, to adjust, I still struggle with being accepted as a professional when I'm outside of my work confines or not wearing a $500 suit. White avoidance is the reason why white privilege thrives. With all my personal experiences and this stigma stacked against me, I've never met a white person and thought, well, here comes another racist. Everyone I meet has a clean slate. I never talk to someone with the thought process of this person is scary. I never avoid a person because of an interaction I've had with a different person. I've never been disrespectful or short to police officers, questioning why they pulled me over, or leading with, you pulled me over because I'm Black. I don't group people together with based off someone else's narrative or characteristics of those who have previously wronged me. And with all I've been through, I still managed to give a person that I encounter a smile and a chance. All people are asking for, all Black people are asking for, all I am asking for is a clean slate and a fair chance. A chance to be heard and seen for who I am on the inside. Hear my story before you determine if I'm a bad person or if I am good. After just some time, a short time, you will find that a lot of people pride themselves on being the latter. There are things that will happen that won't go viral or won't be viewed as extreme enough to cause an uproar. Landon, he won't get a hashtag for feeling less than. I won't get a hashtag for being humiliated. And a life won't always be lost, physically anyway. However, these blatant inequalities are what all the fuss is about. Sam Cooke sung a song, A Change Gonna Come, 50 some odd years ago. Why a song about racial discrimination lasts the test of time for so long? Why are we here today begging for something as simple as to be treated as equals, to be perceived as equals, to not be up against a stereotype, to not be murdered? There are some that think that this is about politics. There are some that think this is about one bad cop. Some think this is about a flag or a group of people looking for a handout. That can't be farther from the truth. I work for everything that I have, and I love with everything that I have. So hear me. So hear me, your friend, your fellow Rotarian. Let's turn off the news. Let's leave Fox and CNN alone for a day. Let's get our perspective let's not get our perspective from sources known for their bias. Let's walk into the communities that we don't understand. Let's talk to our colleagues, people we break bread with, people we call brother and sister. Hear their stories. So the glaring question from a lot of my friends, what can I do to help? Everyone here today, in some form or fashion, has influence, has a platform to be heard. I'm asking you to use that platform to help give Black lives a voice. If you have 3 friends willing to listen, respect your thoughts, you are more valuable than you know. Help us combat those that are insistent things are good the way they are. Things are not okay. A change is needed. Things may be good for you or the people around you, but I can assure you, things are not good for everyone. Help by holding people accountable for their action. Help right be right, no matter if you're on the left or the right. Help Black kids not only have a future, but be able to believe they are capable of great things, no different than the kids standing next to them. I've worked in all types of organizations. The tone at the top is the key on how that organization is ran. Looking at America as one big giant corporation is those in power's job to make sure inclusion and equality is the only acceptable standard. To set the tone at the top. It's not our job to change all of America, but it is our responsibility to play our part, affect those that are around you, build up and encourage our community. It starts individually. It starts with you. It starts with you teaching your kids and your grandkids to accept others for their differences, even if they don't understand. I don't know where each of you are in your journey, but I challenge you all to listen and learn with an open heart, with an open mind. Give your input. Uncomfortable communication is the only way forward. Some eye-opening sources that I urge you to view and share are Jane Elliott's The Blue and Brown Eye Experiment and the book White Like Me by Tim Wise. But for me, the most important thing you can do, the most relevant thing that you can do, if you do nothing else, I encourage you to reach out to some of your Black friends. Check in on them. Don't assume that they know you're supportive. Ask your friends how they are feeling, what they think. Express your interest in hearing about their personal experiences. Show them you care, even if they seem fine. Initiate that line of communication. I've learned recently that I have some people support, a lot of people support, even if they didn't explicitly say it at first. To me personally, hearing some of the people close to me say that they care and empathetic has been huge. I want you to give your friends the opportunity to express themselves without the feeling that they are going to cause some kind of unrest or lose some of the people they hold dearest. Now, the other glaring question I've been getting since Monday is, what can Rotary do? I've had a couple of days to reflect on this and talk it out with my fiance, Sarah. And let me take a step back and take a moment to give credit where credit's due. I am so glad I'm marrying that woman. My God, she's gotten the blunt of all of this, and I couldn't be the dad, employee, or the Rotarian you see today without her. Her support means the world to me. From conversations I've had, We agree that there's a need for Rotary clubs to reflect their communities. So how do we encourage those in our communities to join Rotary? I think we first start off by creating a common goal, okay? And figure out the common goal in our communities. Talk to the Black leaders, talk to the Hispanic leaders. What is everyone trying to accomplish? What can Rotary add to their priority list that will capture a more diverse audience in their local community? For me, my biggest dilemma is, how do I get the different communities to be in the same room? How do we end the segregation that is still so prevalent? We got public facilities, parks, even our churches. Let's be honest, we serve the same God and can't figure out a way to worship together. I feel like everything will work itself out if we can just get together and realize we're all on the same page. To me, Rotary is one of the best ways to bridge this gap. All of us together working towards a common goal of improving our communities. The same way we came together to try to eradicate polio, let's come together to try to eradicate racism. What I challenge our Rotary clubs to do is to consciously expand the diversity of our clubs. Reach out to people around you at work, at your church, at your children's school. I mean, it may be just in passing. Actively recruit those who may not have any idea what our Rotary family is about. With recent events, this has been a huge surge in people wanting to do good, wanting to make a difference. Don't let those people search for an outlet. Don't let that fire that's been lit in so many fade out. Be the force that attracts them to bring that drive and passion to our club. As Sergeant at Arms for the Temple Rotary South Club, I have a certain authority. And Mike Bowler told me, you make the socials and people will enjoy themselves regardless. Well, not sure how yet. I don't know if it's going to be a big crawfish ball or what, but I envision our Rotary clubs having at least one of their social events directly supporting or jointly hosted with an event primarily put on by someone else in another community, Black community, Hispanic community. We need to be seen and heard in places and events outside of our normal course of business. We need to be sure our entire community knows that Rotary is what we stand for and that we are here to support. The best way to create a buzz about Rotary and show our passion for the community regardless of color, is to jump right in and show our support for events already being hosted by somebody that's not us. Let's get involved with all of the members of the community. Let's get so involved that there is no question that Rotary is for everyone. Let's eliminate the misconception about Rotary. Misconceptions that to join Rotary, you have to know people, that you must have a certain career, or that you have to be an old white guy, you know? Let's not wait any longer to bring people in. Let's go get them. We cannot let this momentum die. And honestly, I've never thought that I would be here speaking about my experiences so openly and talking about race. Honestly, why is that? We should not be afraid to speak up. We should not allow that fear surrounding racial dialogue to continue. That is the only way forward. As I continue to receive support about my speech and my story, and it's gaining traction and attention, I'll be speaking at the Lion Club, and hopefully I don't get recorded crying there too. But it's made me think, this speech is the most effective and the most powerful and the most impactful when it's given to those who know me. Hearing about my experiences such as mine will make the most impact coming from someone in your own community, someone who sits next to you at work. I would love to see a Myke from every community come forward and share their story. My story is not unique. My story is more common than most people understand. To tell my story was terrifying, but the response was worth it. I feel heard. I feel like I'm making a difference, and I feel like people care. I encourage everyone to keep that conversation going. I encourage anyone that's listening that has a story and the opportunity to speak up. You would be surprised the impact and influence you may have. As Rotary evolves, let us say with joy in our hearts, we were part of that evolution. Let us support the Sylvia Whitlocks of the world. Let Rotary set the tone at the top. If you took anything from my talk here today, I hope you remember that together we can help in a major way. It's no longer good enough to simply be not racist. We need to do more. We need to be actively anti-racist. Don't turn your head the other way. Do fight for accountability. Help us get to the point where if a teacher is constantly written up for racial discrimination, that we don't get mad at the parents for bringing the bias to light, but instead the teacher for hurting the child, hurting our future. Thanks everyone for listening to me today. I want to also take the time to say that those that listen to me, take some time to understand what my message is and what I'm trying to convey and what I ultimately want. We're in this world to where there's these extremes on both ends. Okay, we have 5% yelling this and 5% yelling this, and these 5% they're yelling it loud. So this is what media is pushing us on both sides, and this is what we see. This is what we think we have to choose from. However, 90% of us are a lot like myself. We just want to see humans coexist and everything be fine. Police not abuse their power. The common sense things of humanity. We want to see humanity thrive. So now it's time for this 90%. It's time for us to stop being peacekeepers and be peacemakers. That's all I have for you guys today.
Myke, thank you. Thank you so much for having the courage to come before, to share your story, but to come before and talk to people that you don't know. When we talked earlier in the week, Myke said, you know, it's something to talk to people I know at my Rotary Club, about 20 of them, and now you're going to tell me I'm going to talk to 90 people that I don't even know. And what we told Myke is, you don't know it, but yeah, you do know them, because they're all your Rotary family. We were all one, and the message that resonated with your club will resonate with all of us throughout our district. All you have to do, I know you've been talking, but while people start writing their questions in the chat, Myke, just look at the chat. Just take a minute to run through those chats of all the comments that everybody is saying about your presentation, about you. And I got to say, Myke, you're what Rotary's all about, and what Rotary should be all about. The listening and learning is the one thing that resonates with me. And I appreciate you being here. We got a lot of district governors and past district governors on the call, and it's hard to say that the district governor is at a loss for words, but I really am now. So I guess, Patrick or Amber, I'll turn it back to you to start with the chat questions.
Comments?
Jane's got something here.
Today, I was with the Georgetown Rotary Club. Ron Swain, who's a member of that club, gave a very similar presentation as Myke. And I don't know if all of you know Ron, but Ron has been an instrument of change in Georgetown for the last 20 years, and he's a great Rotarian. And he has stimulated a group in Georgetown called Courageous Conversations. And when I hear Myke talking, that's what I think of. He's challenging us to make courageous interactions with each other. I'd love for Ron and Myke to be in the same room together, to think with us and strategize with us about how to put this agenda forward. Myke, thank you for your presentation.
Thank you. I think that's a great idea also. Thank you.
I normally can talk on wall off, and I really don't know what to say, except to thank you for sharing your story.
Myke, I do have
I just want to say one more thing.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I thought you were done.
No, sorry. Yeah, thanks. I promise you that we're going to get together. We're going to get to work. And we're going to make a difference.
Thanks.
Mike, this is Larry Dimmitt, and thank you for your very inspirational and powerful message. One of the things that I am taking away from your very inspirational remarks is that we need to do a better job of doing what Rotary has recently emphasized, and that is promoting equality among races and all peoples in this organization. And yet we need to do a better job of, as you indicate, reaching out into our community to make contact with those folks who are not of the same race that many of us are, and convince them that we want them in our Rotary Club, because we are not doing, at least in my part of the world, are not doing nearly as good a job of that as we should. So that's one thing I'm taking away from your message, and thank you for your very powerful presentation.
Thanks, John. I will say that, I will say this, and for me, I mean, just in the light of me having a let it all hang out type of week, it's easy for me to focus on us as the youth of the world, young people, and changing them and being a guiding light for them, based off of my own personal experiences. I don't know my father. I've never met him. He decided to leave when I was a baby, and I can't tell you, I got to be honest with you, I can't tell you how selfish you have to be to abandon such an important post. But there are a lot of people like me that were dealt a similar hand, So I want to change those kids, and I have a ton of ideas for the youth, but I would love to see employers and co-workers encourage their minority staff and et cetera to join these boards and be on different boards and be involved in the community. And then I want those specific boards that they want to serve on. Don't just leave it up to the boss to say, hey, you should be on this board. I want that boss to talk to the board. The board goes out and lets that person know, I need you on my board. Your input is valuable. And so it's again, that's been the most meaningful for me. I had Steve ask me a ton of times, hey, I need you to be on these boards. Mike Brockway, he's the reason I'm in Rotary, at least in the room to figure out if I wanted to be in Rotary, Grab somebody by the arm, say, hey, I'm taking you to lunch. Take them to a Rotary meeting. I'm taking you for coffee. Take them to the Rotary meeting. Let them know, hey, we're going to eat with some friends, because that's what we are. And one other thing I would love to say about Rotary is, I told them my deal between the Myke and the Myke. Because now they're just like, which one is it? And I was like, no, it's not a big deal. And I was like, family and friends, they know me as, Myke with a Y. And so forever as long as I know, that's just been Myke. But in the professional world, I don't want this stigma to be, no white man is naming their son Myke with a Y. And so I want it to be equal to the rest of the Michaels in this realm. However, Patrick and Amber and Jim told me, it was like, well, if family calls you Myke with a Y, spells you Myke with a Y, you're Rotary family. We're putting it out there as Myke with a Y. And so this is literally the first time I've ever been public with, in such a space with Myke with a Y. And so that they didn't realize how powerful that was for me, but that was big time.
I think this conversation is so important and obviously so overdue. And I think that past District Governor Gene Davenport mentioned his club had a similar conversation. I hope lots of clubs are having this conversation. I am heartbroken it took us getting to this place as a country to have it, but thank you so much. And I think one of the questions coming in is, what can we do in our Rotary clubs? Start having these conversations. So I think that's a really good first place. Another question that came in, Mike, and I wanted to have you clarify for us the 2 resources you wanted people to read. I'm going to type them into the chat box. Would you give those to us again?
Okay, so it's going to be Jane Elliott's The Blue Eye and Brown Eye Experiment. You can find it under that. And she's been doing it since the 60s, and so it's huge. You can't miss it. And then there's a book, White Like Me, by Tim Wise. That's kind of, eye-opening for people that don't even recognize how fortunate they may be.
Perfect. I've got both of those going out there into the chat box, guys.
What would you say to someone that's listening to this call today, that's on the call or will listen to the recording, that is from the Black community, the Hispanic community, a community that thinks that Rotary is an organization that is not for them, or an organization that's full of white guys, like you said, sitting around talking about insurance or having lunch.
Right.
We know that's not the case, Yeah. So what would you say to someone that's listening to this today that
I feel like, and I've always felt like, the only way that I can make someone comfortable is after they talk to me. It's just been my experiences that when someone sees a 6'2" Black man, especially if I'm not in my, my get up and I'm just wearing Nike clothes because I just got finished coaching my kids, that he may not belong, or he may be scary. So I make sure I'm putting myself out there, and I show up and I shake hands. I'm smiling in your face. I'm going to let you know that I'm okay and that people that look like me are okay. And so I feel like it's our job to be so in your face that you have no other choice but to respect me. The only downfall with that, my thought process on that is I end up being the Black friend, the couple Black friends, or, dang, Black people, but Mike's okay. And that's the part I hate. Like, I'm not an anomaly, I'm just a good, I pride myself on being a good person. That's it. And I want people to see that people pride themselves on being good people, no matter what they look like.
Would you be willing to speak to other Rotary clubs? That question is coming into the chat box.
I mean,
I know it's an emotional week for you already.
Yeah. But speaking of emotional weeks, today something magical happened. My kids surprised me with an early Father's Day gift, and they got me a bird dog. I came home for lunch to just check on them, and in the picnic basket, they said, "We got you a chocolate cake." And I was like, "God, I don't like chocolate." And they opened it up, and it was a chocolate lab. So yes, my emotions are all over the place. But I don't want to, when this is etched in our history, this moment of time, because it will be, and my kids are reading their history books, and they're looking back at this point in time, I want to be able to tell them, your dad wasn't afraid. He did what he could. So yes, I will talk to other Rotary clubs.
Thank you. Patrick, Jim, did y'all have some questions in there?
See, I know there's so many comments. I hope that you get a chance to screenshot them or read through these, because there's just so much love and appreciation and honoring the vulnerability that you have given us today to sit here and tell your story. And it's so powerful. And, you've already answered this question, but, I've been sitting for the last week, 2 weeks. I have no idea. There's no way I can begin to understand the pain and the fear that my Black brothers and sisters that I love so much have been going through their whole life. And I know that everybody on this call wants to listen more and listen better and learn more and learn better, and then be a part of, be partners to change, to make this world better for everybody, so we can all, like you said, come together and make this future really genuinely bright for everyone. Is there anything else that you have forgotten? I know you've given us so much already, but for those people that are really, really sitting at home right now listening to this, struggling, what do I do next? What's my next step? What do I do right now? And I know you said reach out, read these books, have these conversations. Is there anything else as Rotarians, as citizens, as humans that we can do, not only to learn better, to listen better, but to be a part of that change? I'm just wondering if there's anything else that you're thinking of right now.
Or to fund. Are there any nonprofits, Myke, that you would recommend?
Yeah, and I can definitely, I want to thank on, especially nonprofits that I feel like would support our cause locally and give us a template for the change. But my deal is it's such a unique platform that I have, which a lot of my community doesn't have. That I want to make sure that I'm putting everybody in a position to do the best that they can, no matter what it is. And like I said, I feel like the best one person can do, maybe telling their mom or their grandma that, no, that's not how I think. Challenging people. Do you realize how powerful once somebody knows that there's a different perspective out there, there's even a, and it's easy for people that know me to realize, like, geez, Myke, you had all that behind that smile? And imagine how powerful that would be in other communities when somebody that just so happy-go-lucky, he's always involved, he's coaching, he's volunteering, and then he tells you, well, yeah, that happened to me yesterday. He's like, whoa. Let's hold this person accountable. What do we need to do to make sure it doesn't happen again? If you say that to me, I could tell you that instantly. Being a peacekeeper, I would be like, no, it's okay, let it pass. But today, the fire that is lit in me right now, I'm no longer letting it pass. I'm no longer embarrassed to speak up for indecencies, for people with these progress halting thoughts. And so that's what I encourage all of our Rotarians to do, is just to challenge, even if it's yourself, challenge your thought process on, like, what's the worst can happen? What's the worst can happen if you put somebody in minority in a leadership role? The worst can happen is that you get more minorities, more valuable minorities that can go into their communities and change it from the bottom. It's not going to happen overnight, but you can if you put a leader and you equip them with the tools that they need to do to lead, they go affect 2 people from their community. That 2 people affect 2 more people, and then that's when the ripple effects happens. Just like I said, just like polio, to eradicate polio started with a club of 20 people. This is where it starts. This is how it starts. Just having a conversation. And I'm open to sharing my email, cell phone, because I would love to have open communication about this, and get more perspectives and more thoughts and because I'm looking from Myke's eyes. I would love to get everybody's perspective. That is when you learn. That is when you educate yourself by different people's experiences. That is when you actually learn. You're not going to learn by doing what the viral meme tells you to do. That's not going to happen. You need somebody that is telling the truth. Somebody that is genuine. Someone that you break bread with. Someone that you say, man, that's been my friend for 20 years. He's never wronged me. Why would he wrong me now? I need people to be in that type of position so they can be in a position of trust and not be so hesitant for change.
And I think one of the biggest takeaways for me today, and I just want to reiterate it for everybody, was when you said we need to go into the communities. And Patrick and I are so passionate when we go speak to clubs about making sure our communities know that we're non-governmental, non-religious, and non-political. But we need to go out into the communities, invite these people to come in with us as well, like Larry Dimmitt said as well. And I think that was just such a huge takeaway moment today, and we appreciate you. I'm going to let the guys wrap us up here.
Myke,
Can I pop in for a second before y'all do that?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm from Waco, and I've been digging in with my team where I work. I'm a person of color, and we're digging into our policies and starting to do all the work. But I sent them something today that's just on my heart to read to you, because you're going to be walking in to some emotional situations with people that you may not understand what's behind it. And so I'm just going to be really vulnerable and read this to you. Reflecting on my emotional and physical reaction to an open discussion, I believe that my anxiety stems from the realization that in order to have an honest dialogue, I will have to give up the one thing that has given me comfort and security in every organization I've been a part of: my silence. I have lived a lifetime of discrimination, and those acts have left me hollow and guarded. All I experience is filtered through my lens, which has been shaped by my journey and those who have traveled along with me. In order to fully participate, I will have to let down heavily fortified parts of me that will reveal a vulnerability which honestly my body is rejecting. Some of you have seen that vulnerability, and it's not pretty. And so just so you know that what you're walking into, you may not get a response that you expect. The beauty of where I work is that I'm working with people that I trust, and they have built a trust with me, which is even allowing me to consider having this type of conversation, because I'll be really honest with you, normally I just cut and run. I just really appreciate being a part of Rotary. I'm new, I'm brand new, not even a year in. But just even hearing this conversation go on is extremely encouraging. And the reason you're not seeing my face is because I knew I'd ugly cry throughout the entire thing, and I did. And so I just appreciate that you're even willing to have this conversation. And I thank you for taking the time to listen to me.
Thank you so much for
sharing. Thanks, Bridget. Myke, one last thing, I guess, before I know we need to wrap this up, but one of the things that inspired me in listening to your talk to Temple South were some of I know why you joined Rotary, because your boss brought you. But since you've been in Rotary for a couple of years, is there a particular program or set of programs within Rotary that really resonates with you, that has touched you regarding the youth or anything like that yes, you could share what's really touching you about Rotary? I think it'd be good for all of us to hear.
Okay. Yes. Someone asked, what could Rotary do? And again, I'm extremely passionate about our youth, because you can't really emotionally connect when you don't have the same background as me. And I'm not telling you this so you can feel sorry for me. I'm just telling you this because it's my reality, right? But my Rotary Club is involved in Unincluded Club, the 4-on-1 House, which is Bridge East Temple, and a powerful, powerful program, which is Early Act First Night. During that time, all of these deals are changing kids and letting them know that people care, and it's giving them this confidence that you can only get when you're sitting in front of a applauding crowd, while you get knighted by this knight that said, you did something amazing at your school. You are amazing. You are smart. You are valued. Thank you. Okay, and so that Early Act First Night, I really do. I wish all schools had it, because you can identify a kid that needs it a lot more than somebody with my kids are extremely blessed, because their biggest fan is dad. And I'm going to make sure that I'm building them up so far that this world cannot tear them down. That is my job, to build them up so much that this world cannot tear them down. But there are those that do not and are dealt similar hands as myself. They didn't have that. And so it is our jobs to step in and be that guiding light and be that source of encouragement and source of confidence.
Thanks, Myke. It starts with the kids. I mean, from Early Act First Night to Interact to Rotaract to Own Up. If we can start young, then we'll be okay. and I think we'll be okay. So Patrick and Amber, I guess unless you see some other chats, maybe we need to put a bow.
How do I read all Jim, how do I read all these chats?
I know I'm gonna make sure you get a copy of them, but if you go to the chat section, there's a lot.
He's on his phone, so maybe he needs to know how to get to. Are you on your? Do you have your computer on right now?
So I'm
if you go to the bottom, of the screen where everybody's picture is, there's a thing that says chat. It's got a little question.
I was on participants. Okay.
Now go to chat and open that up, and it'll. It's going to take you a while to get through them all, but you can do that. Or
Jim Henry, he can just copy and then
thank y'all so much.
And put it on a paper, on a Word document.
Yeah, copy
just
and paste.
Copy and put it on a Word document.
Good job.
All at once.
Director Rita, do you want to say something real quick?
I was just saying you could copy it. All the chat, you can just copy, scroll, copy it, and then move it to a Word document or a document and then paste it. So you can copy and paste anytime out of a chat box.
Thank you.
Something new.
Yay.
That's new because they couldn't do that before.
Hey, Patrick,
Myke, yes,
I'm going to share my screen up here real quick while you're wrapping up, because I just want to remind everybody that Rotary, and Monique was really great about posting this into the chat section as well, that Rotary does have a statement out right now on racism, and then also that on Rotary's website there is a diversity, equity, and inclusion statement as well. So I want to make sure we all saw these today.
Thank you, Amber. And Myke, I just want to thank you again on behalf of everyone on this call for being with us today and for sharing your personal story. You have inspired, you have hit everyone's heart and everyone's soul, and I'm just proud to be a Rotarian with you, and I'm proud to know you now, and we're going to get to know each other better, and you and Amber and I are going to go hang out in Temple, and we're going to continue this conversation, and we want you to come hang out with us and get involved in some.
As long as we're eating good, Patrick.
You don't have to worry about that.
You don't have to worry about that, Patrick. That's for sure.
Don't have to worry about that. And again, next week, so thank you for being here today. And I hope we continue this conversation in different clubs, different groups, and then here on this platform in the future. And I just want to thank the district and everyone on this call and everyone from Rotary International that's on this call and any guests on this call for being a part of this conversation today. And District Governor Jim, I thank you for allowing us to have this conversation today, to create this space so that Myke could share his story and that we could have this conversation. It really means a lot. Next week, we are not announcing our next week's program because we have some exciting things that are, we just have to work out some logistics, so bear with us. We will be announcing that next week, but you won't want to miss it. And if there's anything else, District Governor Jim, do you have anything else? Amber, do you have anything else?
I want to remind everybody that this recording will be right here on our district website under events, the Zoom series, Staying Connected as Rotarians. All of our Zoom series are recorded here. And so today's episode will go right here at the bottom, probably by the end of this weekend, and we'll have it up. So encourage you to take this conversation, share it with your clubs, and continue having these conversations as Rotarians. The link for next Friday is right here. So same time, same place, same link. Come back and join us again.
And again,
I just want to thank everybody for coming and taking your time every Friday for the last 2 months that we've been doing this. We started this on March 27th, and we're going to continue it through the end of the Rotary year. And just thank you for visiting with us, for doing our best to keep connected. And Myke, thank you for giving us another avenue for being connected through Rotary to the world and to our communities. And I applaud you for stepping up and talking to us.
Thank you, DG Jim. On behalf of our entire team, Vice President-elect Rita, thank you for being here. Director Larry, thank you for being here. Thank you for all the RI staff again for being here. Julie, thank you for being here. For all the Rotarians on this call and for all the guests, thank you for taking the time today. This was a very important conversation and beginning. We're going to continue this, and I really, really, really am honored to be here today. Go out, have a good weekend, be safe, go serve the world, and we'll see you next week. Thanks a lot.
Amber,
Everybody gets to unmute themselves and everybody come in and tell us bye.
Bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.
Hi,
Ginger.
welcome everybody.
Much.
We're so glad to see everybody.
Bye.
Hey, Ellen.
Amber,
Thank you.
Amber, would you try to get the chat for me so I